Hi, one bonus video for today. I would like to connect through the code that we wrote in CYF blocks with what we have just learned today. So if we start with changing text, so we have HTML, find the element with ID adjective, and set the text content to P. And then we can run. The dog saw the happy cat. If we look at the generated code here, we can see if I make it a bit bigger, how do I make it bigger like this? There we go. We see here, it's still a bit big. There we go. We have element adjective document get element by ID adjective. So let's have a look in our developer tools document dot get element by ID adjective. This returns this U, the adjective down here. We have seen document dot query selector. And there, of course, because it's a query selector, we would use hash adjective because that's the ID. And we see this is exactly the same. So document getter element by ID value or query selector hash value is the same. Query selector, because it allows you to use the whole of CSS, is more powerful. And then we said element adjective get in a text and set it to happy. This is exactly the code we've already seen. So you can work your way through the exercises one more time, and it should go quite quickly, like this setting colors here. You can go have a look at the code generated for that. Creating HTML dynamically, creating lists of links. And then we had this code where we're creating a button to add an apple, which I have somehow, there we go, found it again. So here we can see the three elements that we had to do for the previous exercise, right? In the Bikes for Refugees, we had to find this element with the input. We had to find this element for the button, and we had to find this element here, the add article, where we add everything in. So here we say we find the element with ID button, that's this element. We then find the element and say when that element is clicked, we're going to find the element with ID list. We're going to create a new list element. We're going to set the text content to Apple, and then we're going to add it to the list. And so you can see here, add an apple, it adds an apple. Do I have the, and we can now look at the generated code. So again, we have this document.get element by ID, same as query selector. We have this familiar add event listener. We're adding the click event listener. You can see here we're using an arrow function instead of a regular anonymous function, but the result is the same. And we are saying let the element list be document get element by ID list. The new list is going to be, we're going to create an element for a list item. We're going to set it in a text, and then we're going to append child. As you've seen, this is exactly the same as the code you knew how to do. We'll note that there's some differences in nesting. This nesting here creates a variable. It creates this newly variable, does things with it, and then appends it with append child at the end. You can see this nesting here, when the element with ID button is clicked, then all this goes inside the function that is the callback to for the click event handler. One last thing to look at, we have this to-do list. If we look at the code here, I did something that's maybe not that good of an idea. We have document get element by ID text dot value. So that, as we've seen, is how we extract the value from the text field. And we have get number or string. That looks a little bit strange. You can mostly ignore this code, but you can also look at it if you're interested. The reason we have this is so that you could have numbers input here for the numbers exercises. That's the only reason. Otherwise, we could change this code to be just document.getElement by ID text.value. And if we run it, I think it will still just work the same. You can continue looking through all this. I think everything we have in here, you now have these JavaScript and HTML, CSS skills to do and to understand. If you have any questions, I think figuring out the link between this and the JavaScript will really help you. If you felt that this was good, you understood this, but you're not understanding the JavaScript, you can go look at the generated code and find the link. If you feel like you're understanding things really well, you can go have a look at the more advanced exercises, what the code is that gets generated, and see if you can generate that code by hand. So either way, I think it will really help you if you have time to go spend some time again in CYF blocks and look at the code that's generated by CYF blocks. So this is optional, by the way. You don't need to do it for Saturday, but you might find it really helpful. Have a great week. I'll talk to you soon.